Testing my check. All right, excellent. Right, hi guys, welcome back to another live stream. So this is Destiny ITJ. Today's topic is gonna be about how to beta read. For some of you who know, I actually did a live stream previously, somewhere about last week or maybe 2 weeks back. It's a live stream demonstration on me beta reading some of the submissions that some authors gave me. So I gave my live feedback, my comments. It's all real time. You can check it out. Okay, so today we're gonna be talking about how to beta read. It doesn't matter if you have no experience. This covers for people who read generally without writing and people who write. So there are two parts to this. Let's take a look at some of the things we'll be covering today. So what I will cover, I'll be covering the beta reader template, which I will share that you can use. It's free, so I came up with this. You can modify it, you can use it. You don't need to credit anyone for this. It's just a guideline for people who need to have, beta readers who need some guides. And then we have tips for writers, and similarly, some tips for readers, the do and the don'ts, together with some examples. So I'm hoping this would be a short live stream because I'm doing this solo. Okay, so let's get started. Alright, so this is the template. I actually put this up on my Discord server, so if you're interested and you use Discord, feel free to join. The link should be in the descriptions. It can be found on Twitch, can be found on YouTube. You can join and then you can select your role. So I will put this up available for everyone. So some of the things that I usually do, just a fun fact, I'm an INTJ author, which kind of means I like things with structures. And when I say things with structures, I like to make things very clear. No room for doubt, no room for hesitation. So when I say that I want to know a passing grade, my passing grade is not 5 because I have high expectations, it's a 7. So I will usually ask um, for my beta readers to rate on the scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being, oh no, this is just pure trash, and 10 being, I need this god standard stuff like now. So it's two kinds of polarities. Anything below a 7 for me is considered a fail. So the first thing that I want to check is the pace of a chapter. For example, is this too much content, too little content? Are you overwhelmed by what's going on? The second is the interest at the start of the chapter. Did I catch your interest when you first started reading this chapter, like in the first 3 lines? Did I have your interest over there to want to find out more what's going on to the the next chapter, or like for the rest of the chapter? Is this what you are looking for when you started reading the chapter? Because sometimes I have clickbait chapter titles, which helps, but the expectations don't match. So this is something that the beta readers can let me know, and I can work on it. And then thirdly, it's the ending of the chapter. Did I wrap it up on a good cliffhanger? So like cliffhangers are one of the best ways to end a chapter. In case you don't know, it keeps the reader wanting more, especially if you're writing a web novel. This is a very good technique. You need to keep your readers wanting more at the end of every chapter in order for them to continue following you, because it isn't like a book. In a book, you pay for the book, you bring the book back home. So it doesn't matter if you're interested. By the time the chapter ends, you just turn and read the next chapter until the book is done. But it's not the same for web novel, because they pay as they go, and if you don't get their interest, they're gonna drop it. That's simple as that. So at the end of the chapter, is it still keeping my reader's interest? This is very important. I want to know. Anything less than a 7, I will revise the chapter. I will revise the ending, because it's not good enough for me to retain the readers I work so hard to get. Number 4, the ability to understand the chapter. When I say the ability to understand the chapter, the only reason why I'm putting this down is because a lot of my readers are not like literature students or like traditional readers who enjoy the literary art. No. A lot of these readers are people from countries that don't speak English as their first language. So I want to know, is this chapter too difficult to understand? Do I need to dumb it down further? Do I need to use simpler English? Do I need to explain things? Or is the subject topic a little bit too difficult for the common people to read, to understand? For example, if I'm going to be writing about, say, surgery, okay, I'm going to write a medical fiction kind of thing. And then I use a lot of medical jargon because I'm a medical student and I don't realize that the general public doesn't understand the things that I'm saying. So over here, your beta readers will be able to tell you that they don't understand the chapter, and the ratings will tell you how much they don't understand. This is extremely important. So over here, I usually try to keep it to a 8 or a 9. If it's below 7, if it's like 6 and below, I will need to revise it completely, which means either my world building is not there or the subject that I'm talking about is way too difficult for people to follow. So, after the ability to understand the chapter, the next thing I'm looking at is the predictability of a chapter. So, for some authors, this is optional, but for me, I like to put in the predictability just to know, Mm, like, am I going down the mainstream road that everybody understands about, or am I actually being original, or am I too original? So, if you actually watched one of my last few live sessions with Sanskar, we actually talked about the difference between being original and being too original. So, being original means that your readers can still relate, but being too original means that your idea is way out of this world and your readers cannot comprehend where you're coming from. So that's going to be a problem. So the ability to understand the chapter is one thing, the predictability of the chapter is another thing. So you can see there's a correlation there. If your predictability of a chapter is very low, but the ability to understand the chapter is still within the 8 and 9 range, that's fine. It just means that it's original. But if your predictability of the chapter is like a 0, and then the ability to understand the chapter is like a 4, then you know that maybe the idea is like a little bit too original. On the other hand, if the ability to understand the chapter is like 2, and your predictability of a chapter is like 8, then you got a lot to work on with the content and how you present the information. So this is why I usually ask the beta readers to rate the things that I want to know. So these to me are important. As a writer, when you find your beta readers, you gotta ask yourself, what am I looking at? What do I want my beta readers to feedback to me, the things that I can't see myself? So these are just a guideline on my end. You can add in things that you need. You can remove things that you don't think is relevant. That's fine. It's completely free. I came up with this for myself. I'm just sharing it with everyone who wants to use it. And after the predictability of the chapter, usually I will ask, is the chapter length a little bit too long? Is it like, too short? Okay, this one is subjective because some writers say, but I can't decide the length of my chapter. It just gets there when I finish it and I end it on a note and it's like probably 2000 words, or I can't extend it any more than 1200 words. That's it. This is my maximum. So again, subjective, but why this rating is there is because readers have very short attention span. As much as I hate to say this, but in an age of information overload like ours, not a lot of people can sit for hours just to read a book. No. Most of us, we're just going on trains, we're like going on the way to work, and then we take out our phone, we log into the app, and then we read the story that updates. That's it. So we don't read a lot, we just read the updates, and the update lengths are going to be very important to these kind of people. That's why I usually ask, is the length of this chapter okay? So I try to keep it within, but if I can't, then well, that's just it. But I do my best usually. So for people who don't really care about all these things, well, then you can just leave these out. But for me, I like to know the comfortable range that my readers find enough. For example, if you want to build a scene, a chapter that has a lot of action going on, the pace is okay, but the length turns out to be like 3000 words. Are your readers able to stay for 3000 words? Because that's going to be about like 10 pages long on a Microsoft document. And if your readers are reading on an app, can you imagine how far you've got to scroll that down? you might want to consider breaking that into two separate chapters instead of 1005 so that it becomes more manageable for them. But you also have to find a place that you can end successfully to still keep their interest. So this actually gives you a guide on how to manage, especially for web novelists, your chapters. Then once I'm done with the chapter length, so on the scale of 1 to 10, I want to know the interest of the chapter. Like for example, what is their feeling? So I'm not a very feelings kind of person. It's an INTJ problem basically. So I take numbers and statistics more. I treat them more importantly than feelings, and I get to know how people feel about my work when they give me a favorable number. Again, it's above 7. So, on the scale of 1 to 10, how interesting was this chapter? Like, did they like the chapter? Did they absolutely hate this chapter? So, on the general, on the overall, how was it? I like to see a 7 and above, and a lot of times I get a 9 and a 10, which is a good sign, which means that they don't hate my work. And it is a sign, and it gives me confidence that it's going to be the next bestseller, something like this. And last but not least, other feedback. Right, so in the other feedback session, there's just some beta readers would put NA, like, oh, it was great, and then they leave like little compliments for the author. That's fine. But on the other hand, I have beta readers who are very helpful. Their most interesting section of this entire beta reading format is number 8, which is other feedback. So they actually highlight little portions of what they read and give their comments and insights, letting me know what they think about and if there is room for improvement or if they have questions and they have doubts. So, yeah, this actually lets me know if I should work on it more or if I should, put a little something before this to foreshadow to this moment or if I should change it completely. So this other feedback section is like very important, and I will share with you how you can actually do this in further details coming next. Right, so I'm going to talk about beta reading for writers first. So we know a lot of writers. Before we are writers, we were once readers. So the reason why we got into writing was because we loved reading first. But along the way, learning how to be a writer, we forgot the joy of being a reader without judging as a writer. So the first rule of thumb, the first tip that I would like to share is that if you're beta reading for another writer and you are a writer for yourself, like it doesn't matter what kind of writer you are, it doesn't matter what kind of genre you are, if you like you like the writer, you read the works that they write, I'd like you to respect them as the writer that they are and forget about who you are as a writer, like temporarily, and just enjoy it as a reader. So don't judge as a writer or an editor. It's an occupational hazard that we usually, because they are looking at a feedback from a beta reader's point of view, it's not going to be polite to tell them more as a writer because they didn't employ you as their editor and they didn't ask you for opinions as a writer. So you like to keep that to yourself and be polite and respect it as a beta reader. So there is a huge difference between reading it as a writer and reading it as a reader. As a reader, you enjoy. You might find like some flaws and stuff like that, but you just let it go. You enjoy. You understand that this is something that's meant to be for fun. But as a writer, usually we tend to look at commercial values of this piece. How can it be crafted better? Over here, there's a missing section. This is a plot hole, etc., etc. It takes the joy away from reading. Therefore, I would like you to refrain from judging as a writer or an editor if you are one. Secondly, remain open minded and neutral to other writers' works. So, the first thing that you want to bear in mind if you're going to beta read for another writer is if you would enjoy reading this as a reader. So, jealousy is a thing that is very common among writers. Like, if I see a writer, it doesn't matter if they're better than me, more famous than me, or whatever, I'm still gonna be jealous because I'm seeing them having success in their work that I don't have, or even if I am successful in my work, it's still going to make me jealous to see, oh, why didn't I think of this? This is brilliant, that kind of thing. And then we tend to judge in that direction, that we kind of block off all the new perspectives and we think that we are better. So this kind of jealousy is damaging If you're gonna beta read for another writer, you want to help them as a beta reader. You want to enjoy the process. You don't want to tear them down. If you are trying to bring them down by volunteering as a beta reader, then I suggest you stop. And if you are a writer and you have writer pals offering to beta read and they give you attitudes that judge you completely, you know that these people are toxic. Remove them from your beta reading list. You don't have to tell them off or anything. You just say, yes, thank you for your opinion, that's fine. But I think we're better off sticking as friends, as writers, and not helping each other out in this way, because you and I have very different opinions. So you respect their opinions as well. But because this is not going to help you as a writer, if your friend is a writer and they beta read this way, just don't. Either let them watch this video to let them know that it's hurting you, or just cut it off. Like, it's not going to benefit you. If your writer friend beta reads for you and they are not open minded and they have a lot of opinions on how you should be doing better, just don't. Everybody has a growth process to go through, including yourself. So let them go through it. If they don't ask for your help or your opinion or your suggestions, then don't give it, because they're not ready for this thing. Okay, they only want the support as a beta reader, so just do your job as a beta reader. So what do you do as a beta reader? You don't comment on writing skills or techniques, but you give your thoughts as a reader would. For example, oh my god, lol, this line is so funny, I can't believe he did this kind of things. That kind of comment is fine. Or the comment of, I don't actually get this, because initially he said that he was gonna go there, and then after that he just forgets about it and come over here. Did he kind of forget it, or is there like something going on? That kind of thing is fine. It's a prompt. It's how you feel. Think of it as a reviewer. You're a reader sitting in the active seat of reviewing something, just enjoying it and reviewing it, just like watching someone do a live stream and commenting as they go along with the moments. That's you as a beta reader. So you're not the kind of readers who is the silent kind, who would just enjoy it and then don't think about it, like forget it and then wait for the next update. No. The kind of reader that you want to be when you're a beta reader is an active reader. The one who goes on a journey with the writer, giving them live feedback on what they think real time. So you can have an opinion, oh my god, I hate this character. What is he? Is he a jerk? And then by the end of the chapter, you're like, oh, this softy, let's simp for him. You can change your opinions throughout, it's fine. So this kind of feedback actually gives the writer an opinion and information about, am I doing this right? Is this the impact that I'm going for? And if you're giving the right reactions, the writer may think, okay, I shall keep this. And if you're not giving the reactions that the writer is aiming for, the writer will revise it. So that's all you gotta do as a beta reader. Just actively involve yourself with the writing process as you read, as a reader's point of view. So don't judge. Remain open minded, don't comment on writing techniques or skills, practice humility and gratitude. So, earlier I said jealousy is a thing. So, everybody has a writing journey to go through. Everybody is on different levels. You can be better at one thing, they can be better at another thing. It doesn't matter. Practice humility and gratitude. Being a beta reader is a privilege, okay? For a lot of people, they don't know, if a writer doesn't like you, you will not be given the privilege to beta read any of their unpublished works. A lot of people don't have writer friends, so let me tell you, as a writer, I'm sure every other writer out there has a book or a file or a passcode hidden something that we put all our unpublished thoughts and works into, only to delete them because we think they're not good enough. It happens, okay? We're like secretly insecure creatures that live under the rock, and you can't find us if you don't want to be found. So you will not be a beta reader to this writer if they don't trust you enough. So it's an absolute honor and a top tier privilege to be asked and given the chance to be a beta reader for these writers. So practice humility, practice gratitude, be thankful that they asked you and not someone else, because they trust you and you earned that. So don't betray their trust. Don't hurt them in a way that it's not good, okay? And last but not least, enjoy reading. Simple enough. So once we're done with the writer section, tips for writers, there's another one for readers. Okay. There are many kinds of readers, I know. There are the silent kind of readers, there are the active kind of readers, there are the toxic kind of readers, there are the readers who actually just read and don't really think. There are the readers who think a lot and just like second guess everything and want to theorize everything. So there are many types of readers. Uh it doesn't really matter what kind of reader you are, as long as you can give the writer some kind of feedback to help them polish their work. So, first and foremost, for readers, when a writer asks you to be a beta reader, they are not looking at criticism. Okay, let me just clarify this. You don't have to be an English teacher, you don't have to be a pro to, help the writer improve. That's not what they're looking for when they ask you to be a beta reader. All you have to do is be honest about what you feel and tell them about it when you come across it. Don't hold back what you want to say just because you're afraid that you will hurt your writer's feelings. No, don't. Okay? They want to know. Like, if you really dislike a character that they've created, just let them know. And then they will ask you why, and you can tell them maybe it's something that this character did that didn't really sit right with you. It's fine, okay? We won't we're not made of glass, even though we often seem like it. We just want to be, put it this way, before we actually release this to the wild and be completely annihilated, we want to put this in a smaller pool of people whom we actually trust, who will hurt us, but it won't hurt as bad because we know that these people actually care for us. We want to put this in a test environment with loving people who will tell us where we're wrong, and so that and to give us a chance to correct this before we actually get annihilated by the wild. Yeah, so if you hold back your opinions now, it might be too late for us when we actually release it and the chapter's gone live and everything's gone wrong because you just didn't tell us about it and we didn't know. Yeah, just don't, okay? We are thankful for all the feedback that you give us, so don't hold back. Our feelings are not as important as our desire to improve. And then give more details and examples of why you don't like something or if it feels off. So, if you like something, you're like, oh my god, this is so cute. That's fine. That's fine. That reaction's okay. We know. Okay, it's a good to go. We don't have to do anything. But then if you're like, I can't help but feel like this is slightly lacking, and then we'll have a lot of question marks, and writers are usually overthinkers. When you say it's slightly lacking, lots of questions come to mind. Where is it slightly lacking? Why is it slightly lacking? How is it slightly lacking? What should I do to make this more fulfilling? Do you want him to be a little bit like, more assertive? Or would you like him to talk a little bit more? Would you like me to describe him in detail? Which part is lacking? And then we go into this spiral of like, panic and eventually sending to depression when we can't find it. So don't do this to us. We like that you point it out, and we will ask you if it's not enough. Like, where is it that's not, it's not enough? Like, what is lacking? What is insufficient? So maybe you like to give us examples like, I feel like this is lacking because you said he was kind, but I don't see him doing anything kind other than petting the cat. Like, wouldn't he take it home? If it was me, I would have taken it home, and that would be a really nice gesture and stuff like that. So yeah, this kind of opinions you should give your author. So don't worry about it being lengthy. Okay, don't worry about it being lengthy. I will come to that at a later point for the do's and don'ts. So the next point is, if you like something, compliment it so that we know that at least we're doing something right along the way. You can have, out of 10 things, you can comment 9 things, I don't really get this. But you can comment one thing, oh my god, this is really good. I love cheesecake as well. This kind of thing really just makes our day. It's like, oh, well, at least we got something right. I didn't live my life in vain for like the past 10 years doing this, that kind of feeling. Yeah, we're very simple people. We don't mind the harsh comments, but at the same time, we crave for adoration. So don't hesitate to send us your love. Okay, and then last but not least, you can be a reader. You're not an English teacher or anything, but not all writers are like, mega proofed. So during the beta stage, which means it's very unpolished, if you see any typos, and trust me, I'm a certified typoist, which means I make typos in almost like, I don't know, every sentence that I send out, I have typos. I hate that, but I can't. I like my brain moves faster than my hands, so by the time I send the message out, I don't have time to check it through and correct it. And if it's not auto corrected, and if the spell checker misses it out, it's just gonna be a typo there, okay? For example, one of the worst mistakes, typo mistakes I made that nobody told me about it, not even my proofreader. He just left it there because he thought it was funny. Okay, what's the name? Bob. B-O-B. And then I accidentally typoed it into boob, like B-O-O-B, and nobody told me about it. The chapter went live for months, and it was months later that a new reader picked it up. Do you have any idea how mortified I was? Like, you cannot imagine the level of panic that I went through. Like, oh my god, 100 people, hundreds of people read this and just laughed at it and moved on. Like, you could have told me about this typo. It would have made it better, but you didn't. I mean, well, if it made you laugh and it made your day, that's great. But at the same time, I would appreciate if you let me know that there was a typo so that I can correct it before it goes live. Simple things like this. So it doesn't take much to be a beta reader. I hope that you're not terrified if a writer approaches you, hey, could you beta read this for me? And if it's up your alley, then you can accept. If it's not up your alley though, please just decline it politely, like, oh no, this is not really my genre, maybe you could ask someone else, but thank you for the opportunity, something like this. Because I understand not everyone reads all kinds of genres. Like, I myself, I don't like to read werewolf romances because I'm not a fan of dogs, and werewolves are just like bigger dogs. I'm terrified of dogs, so no. But on the other hand, I will definitely read anything that's like VR kind of thing or fantasy kind of thing. That's my stuff. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next section, which is the do section. So do use track changes. So for those of you who don't know what track changes is, it's an advanced function in the Word document. It actually exists in Google Docs as well. So writers, when you send out your shared link invitation to your beta readers, please make sure to check your permission settings. You don't want to make them editors because it means that they can directly change the contents of your folder and your document. You want to put them as suggesters, so it's like a commenter kind of thing. Yeah, so they can add comments and they can edit it, and automatically the things that they edit become track changes, so you can actually find out what has been done and remove the parts that you don't want, or like clear the parts that are done. Yeah, so don't put them as editors. That's a like huge mistake. And for other writers who are sending it by email in Word documents, beta readers, please learn how to use track changes. Your writers will appreciate it a lot. So you can highlight, you can put comments, you can actually help them correct typos here and there, punctuation, stuff like that. That's great. So leave the final changes to them. Don't change the file directly. We want to see the before and after progress after all. So use the comments function. So comments function, it's a little bit different because you are not proofreading, you are beta reading. Proofreading means you change from the file, you correct the grammar and stuff like that. Beta reading means that you pick out the chapters, you pick out the sentence, the word, the paragraph, and then you let the author know your feedback, your comments, your thoughts. So the comment function is very useful. You can even do this on, say, PDF. You can do this on Words. You can do this on a shared file on Google Docs. You can even just copy it and then do it as a notes kind of thing and then send it back. That's fine. It's up to the beta reader's individual personality and preference. There's no right and wrong, but use the comment function, because the comment function is kind of like the other feedback section over here. So yeah, use the comment function. And if you find that you are a very detail-oriented beta reader and your file takes up a lot of space, try to keep the lengthy comments in a separate folder or download it separately to return this with the comments to the writer. So like if it's gonna be a shared document on a Google file and you don't want to spam it because other beta readers are also using it, you could download it, keep it separately, save it in a PDF, put all your comments into that file so that the writer and you can have a more heart-to-heart discussion about the things that you put inside. So you create a separate document and then you let the writers know your feedback after each chapter with the template that your writer has given. That is if you are the beta reader. So some examples look like that. So these actually come from my own beta readers and my files and my current work, Godfather World. For those of you who are curious, the link is on the YouTube description. I write it on tapas anyways. So okay, so the first example over here, chapter 3, comma. This one was done by a beta reader. So they created a file on Google Docs and then they put in the chapter, put in the template, and then they rated it and everything. And then they sent it to me. So they compiled this, all the chapters, chapter by chapter. So whenever it's up, they will let me know. And then I go to the file and then I check this. So this is one way of doing it. So if you're a beta reader and you're like really shy and you don't want to put on a common file that your author sent because other people can read your comments, you can do this. And then the other one, chapter 7, is by another beta reader, as you can see. So they actually highlighted parts of my paragraph, like for example the words there, and then they put in this long text, this comment section here. It's very detailed, as you can see. This beta reader is not experienced, so they took some time and they really put in the effort, you can see. So this is just like what the first paragraph and stuff like that. They did this for like the entire chapter, and I'm very thankful because I see their inner thoughts. So these are the kind of things that you can leave if you're a beta reader. Yeah, so they thought that, they have an opinions like, with the nickname terrorist, I was expecting this person to go on rampage in the high rank and high rank high in the ranks, but it's not. And then they were wondering why it wasn't. So in this case, I explained in the private messages. So I didn't really put it up there for a reason. So so what I would do as well, the last screenshot over here is my reply to a beta reader who actually just commented on a common file. So yeah, I actually explained to my beta readers. So if you are a writer, you got a pool of beta readers, you can also react and like, explain to them the things that they share with you, just so that you have a closer bond and understanding. So going down, they might be more comfortable with your writing style and they know how to give you feedback that you require and that you are looking for in future chapters. So now that we've looked at the do's, let's take a look at the don'ts. Right, so these are a lot of pet peeves that writers will come across when you try to find beta readers. So like if you know your beta reader well as like a friend or something like this, it's usually okay. But if your beta reader comes from a volunteer of readers that you don't usually interact with, you need to lay out some ground rules, okay? So ground rules basically is, as a beta reader, you don't want to, sound so self-important. You want to respect your writers. So writers, these are things that you need to let your beta readers know. Don't change the writing style. Every writer has a style. If you are truly a fan of the writer that you're beta reading for, you will not be changing their writing style. You want to preserve how they phrase things, how they package things to you. You don't want to change it to what you think is right and you think sounds better because you like it better. No, this is not about you. This is about the writer you're beta reading for, okay? Do not change a writer's style. You can be saying the same thing, and if the thing that they're saying is not wrong and you don't have anything else better to say, then I don't like how you're writing this, then maybe it's not for you to be a beta reader, okay? Maybe you should just write your own books, leave, and find something better to do. Because if you are just changing the entire story style of writing, you're not a beta reader. You're a writer. You're not a beta reader at all, really. Even editors don't do this. Okay? So you don't want to suggest your way of wanting to read it or write it or present it. That's what I was saying just now. So you might want to read something in a way that you feel comfortable with. But this is not the writer's way of doing it. So one thing to note is that you are a reader, okay? You are not the writer. The writer did not ask you to be a co-writer, so this part of changing the style and presentation is really not your job, and you should respect that and leave it as it is. So if you really just don't like it, you can tell the writer that it's not your cup of tea and that you're leaving. Okay? Just leave it as that. It's as simple as that. You don't have to disrespect, you don't have to argue, you don't have to criticize or anything. No, there's no need to. And then do not give generic statements that are negative. Do not tell and not tell the writer where they can improve and what they can do. So like I was saying earlier, you can say things that, oh, I think this character is kind of lacking, but you gotta explain why is it lacking. Otherwise your poor writer will be overthinking, going into a panic and spiraling down into depression. You don't want to do that, okay? You want to help boost your writer's confidence as a beta reader and not destroy it, okay? We don't have enough self confidence as it is, so we need all the help we can get. So criticize, but you put it in a constructive manner so that we can do something about it. That's the takeaway point. So do not degrade the writer or criticize without suggestions for improvement because this means you're just plain toxic. And for writers, if you have readers doing this, just get them out of there, okay? You don't need more toxic people in your life. You need good vibes, you need good energy, you need people who will support you so that you can succeed. Writing is a very lonely journey. A lot of writers don't have the support we need in order to get to where we want to be and become who we want to be. So, the first thing that you should do is get rid of all these toxic influences in your life so that you don't have any baggages to hold you down and that you can move forward. That's the first step to becoming a better writer. For any of you who are looking at, pursuing writing as a dream or a career full time. So, these are the don'ts for beta readers. So, examples. So these are some of the examples. So yeah, the first one over there, it's very lengthy. So as you can see, this person is actually rewriting some of the things that they saw the writer did in the way that they think would be better. Don't do that. It actually pisses the writer off a lot. Okay, you're not respecting the writer's style. And second one is yeah, they just give a comment, a not very good comment, and then just don't offer suggestions to how this can be improved. It's like, oh, more action, less talk. And then it's like, the what does more action, less talk mean? Which part are you referring to? How do we do this? What do you want to see? No, nothing. Just more action, less talk. This isn't gonna help your writer. It's just gonna make them very confused and very depressed. Like, I put in so many hours editing this and I still don't know where I went wrong. Yeah, so don't do that. So with that, I'm taking questions from anyone who is on the live stream right now. Yeah, before I end it. So if there is anyone with any questions, you can let me know. Otherwise, I will be ending this. But don't worry, for those of you who are not on the live stream because the time is a little bit weird, you can actually catch this. I will be editing this clip for some clip highlights to upload it for next Wednesday. And yeah, I can answer the questions that you ask, provided you watch the video first. So if you watch the live stream, the full live stream video, anything that I did not cover during the live stream, I will answer. Anything that I have covered during the live stream, and if you ask in the comment section for the sake of asking because you do not respect the effort I put into making this video, I will ignore you. Okay? I am not an answering machine for free. I'm making content like this for the sake of people who would want it, but they don't have the place to look for this kind of content. So please understand where I'm coming from. It's not that I want to be rude, it's just that your time is not as precious as my time in my eyes. So I have limited time. I don't have enough time. I have a lot of things I want to do. I want to value add to people, but I just don't have the means and capability. And if I can't help myself, I can't help you either. You gotta help yourself first. Okay? That's it. So with that, I'm gonna end my stream. Thank you for joining. I hope to see